Welcome to part 3 of a scientific approach to learning trading. This section is about practice. As a reminder, this is an experiment in learning based off of the science of rapid skill acquisition. So the book talks about different types of practice, and the first type of practice is deliberate practice. This is where you break the skill into its components and find weak areas. Then you want to drill those weak areas and continue to test yourself. As I see it, there are two types of trading practice. There is trading that mimics how you plan to trade in real life with real money. And then there are trading drills that help you learn specific skills and fix specific mistakes. Here are some different trading drill ideas that I have, and I will put a link in the description if you want to download a PDF with explanation of how to do these different drills. The next type of practice that the book talks about is interleaving practice, and this is a study technique that involves mixing up multiple subjects or topics to improve your learning. Interleaving breaks patterns and causes a disruption in our learning that actually forces you to practice active recall more. Here are some different ways that you can use this type of practice with trading. So you might switch between trading practice and reading, or you might switch between learning trading and then learning a language, or you can alternate between different trading drills. The book also talks about spaced repetition, so it's important to focus on the frequency of our practice. 5 minutes a day is better than 1 hour a week. You are building a path in your brain. The book also talks about problem-based learning. So this is learning through problem solving. The example the book gives is of the Karate Kid. So if you remember in the movie, instead of teaching him the karate movements directly, he teaches them through doing something else, like cleaning. And by doing something else or problem solving something else, this book claims that you learn better. So one example that I think we can use in trading is to run trading experiments. And here's how I run my trading experiments. So I pick something that I'm curious about, maybe an indicator or maybe a type of signal bar, just anything, and then look back and document how many times this variable is right versus wrong. Then calculate the percentage and decide if that's valuable to you or not. So here's one trading experiment example that I did on support and resistance. I looked back and used a chart indicator to quickly identify support and resistance, and I documented if support and resistance held or if it did not hold. And if it did not hold, then I documented if it was just a wick that broke through or if it was a full bar that broke through. So I used over 100 data points, but ideally you would want over 1,000. And the results I found is that support held 45% of the time, resistance held 40%, and it was broken by a wick in 25% of the time and by a bar in 75% of the time. So what this helped is this actually made me practice support and resistance, and now I have a much deeper understanding of it. And I know now that it only works 40 to 45% of the time, so I can use that when I'm trading. Here are some things that the book tells us we should consider after we make a mistake. So what was the cause of the mistake? Was there an error in your strategy or your execution? What should you have done differently? Did you miss any warning signs? Did this reveal an area of weakness that needs more practice? Did this reveal a character trait that's holding you back? How would you do things differently moving forward? And if you saw someone else make this mistake, how would you advise them? A great quote about mistakes in the book is that failure is the teacher that success cannot replace. And I love this quote. And the book also tells us when you lose, don't lose the lesson. And so I think with mistakes, it is important that we use a trading journal, because if you make a mistake, but you don't actually think through it or remember anything about the mistake, then you kind of lose that lesson. But if you want to hold on to it, I think the best way is to journal. So I document every practice. I write down what worked and what didn't work. And then I keep statistics to tell me, what am I good at? Is there a certain time that I'm good at? Is there a certain market that I'm good at? Are there certain symbols that I'm better at than others? And if you look in the description, I will also have a template for my trading journal. Now, this comes from a different book. This is from the book, The Talent Code, and they talk about deep learning. And deep learning, they say, leads to myelin growth. And they say that mistakes trigger myelin growth, and focus and attention to mistakes is what helps us. Myelin protects the axon of the nerve cell, and the axon is the long cable part of the nerve that transmits electrical impulses or also sends information. So the more myelin that you have, the more insulated it is, and that causes faster transmission. So practice leads to improved neural pathways, which makes you better at trading, it makes you faster at trading, and it's just overall better. Here's a quote from the Talent Code. that I really liked, and it says struggle is not optional. It's neurologically required. In order to get your skill circuit to fire optimally, you must by definition fire the circuit suboptimally. You must make mistakes and pay attention to those mistakes. You must slowly teach your circuit. You must also keep firing that circuit, i.e. practicing, in order to keep myelin functioning properly. A little brief overview of deep learning is that we want to break it into small chunks. We want focus and attention on mistakes. We want to consistently notice mistakes, and we want to correct our errors and then repeat the process and slow it down until it's perfect, then speed it up. And remember, practice every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. That's it for this section, and I'll see you next time in part 4.